Well, just give me the standard startup intro. Who are you? What do you do? Why are you here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Tyler Bouchard, CEO and co-founder of Flexxbotics. We've built an autonomous manufacturing platform. I can give you a quick rundown
Please
of
do.
a little bit of our story
Yeah.
and why we're here, why we built what we've built, and maybe a little bit on what we're looking to build
All
as
of the
well.
above.
Yeah, absolutely. So myself, engineer by trade, went to if you know the Boston area, a school called Worcester Polytech. So it's right outside of Boston. So got my mechanical engineering degree there. That's where I met our co-founder as well. So there's two Tylers, Tyler Medelsky and myself. So as we met at undergrad, and we both went off into industrial automation and manufacturing space. So a little bit different angles and perspectives though. So myself, I went into more commercial roles. So I went right into sales, and I worked with companies like Cognex, did a short stint at Mitsubishi Electric, and then also Novanta. So I got a really good perspective of the complex buying processes of manufacturers, the various stakeholders within the manufacturing process, buying process.
The business side of things.
Yeah, much more the business side of it, and then got a really good lay of the land of the industrial automation space in general, who the players are, where the technology was at, and all of those details. I also sold into the motion control assembly aspect of the business directly with robotic OEMs. So that really helped me get in depth and understanding of all of the different robotic OEMs that were in the space as well. And that's actually what led us to kind of starting Flexxbotics. Was we saw there was a vector into the manufacturing, very difficult to break into manufacturing, but saw with Universal Robots and their collaborative robot technology.
Because it's the most mature, established space for robotics.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I think that's one thing that I think we'll say the common person doesn't see as much as that robotics has been around since the 80s and whatnot. So very, very established. But the approach that UR had was really, I would say, unique within that. And it's not just their collaborative nature, it was the actual behind the software platform they had, an SDK, that really allowed groups with lean resources like ourselves. We say two guys and a dog to kind of
two Tylers.
Two Tylers and a dog to build out.
We're going to need a minimum of 3 Tylers to get this thing over.
Yeah, the dog wasn't named Tyler, so we had some variety there. But yeah, so allowed us to be able to work in a really much more lean environment. And just kind of the general things of getting your feet wet running a business. We were first-time business owners, so there's a lot to learn within that. So we were able to start building that out, start building point solutions that we could deploy into the market, start kind of building some of the thesis that we had around that. And it was around that same time, went to Northeastern for my MBA, and they have a great program called the IDEA program. It was, it is what it is. It was basically we took our idea and kind of manifested it more into a full business plan, and then they provided basically non-equity binding grants.
So it's kind of like an incubator?
Yeah, it's like an incubator. It was kind of the reason why I went to do my MBA at Northeastern. That's what stood out to me within that program. So yeah, they bring groups from people that have all sorts of ideas and everything. The ranges of I have a concept to us, where we had some customers and we were looking to figure out how to be able to scale it and also be able to raise capital. And they helped with all of that and put some money into the business, and then actually helped us find our first investors as well. So I like to say it's money very well spent. I don't mind paying off those loans to this day. So that's how we kind of started getting things rolling on a little bit more the commercial side. And I like to talk about Tyler's experience too as well, because I think it's really instrumental in what we did. And he worked at a company, Waters Corporation, so the liquid chromatography, so for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's a very kind of complex machine to be able to separate particles at, I wouldn't say an atomic level, but pretty close. So very high precision manufacturing, and he helped lead their test automation division. So he was deploying automation globally, so domestically within the US, but also in Europe and Southeast Asia. And so he got a lot of experience for deploying automation, dozens of these types of deployments, as well as managing thousands of these pieces of test equipment that was on Waters' base.
Like integration?
Yeah, it was basically integration, and then figuring out ways how they could be able to standardize their automation deployments, operation, and maintenance of that.
It's interesting. So you both have that experience beyond, because usually when I talk to founders like with that robotics background, it is like just the engineering background, and you
Yeah.
both have that business side background.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really good because we both have perspectives at both levels. So, I focus more on commercial, he focused more on technical. But when you look at the inverse of it, we have really unique perspectives on that too. So it complements really well when we're, any type of discussions or decision making and how we just, approach things in general. So that's kind of, we took the combination of that experience. He also worked at, he worked at Veo Robotics as well too.
Yeah.
And so he worked within there, and then he, helped them get through some various ISO standards, and helped build out their software stack, which helped, kind of the fundamentals of building a software stack in robotics was something that was, really helpful experience.
We had Clara on the show.
Nice.
2 ago, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He knows Clara, and worked with that team. So yeah, we took the combination of that experience that we had, and I kind of say there's like 2 fundamental aspects of our thesis and everything that we built around our mission and our vision and kind of what we built to continue building today. The first one is that manufacturing equipment is built to not work well with each other.
In terms of interoperability?
Yeah. So depending on who you ask, this may be a hot take or not, but I think people that know within the industry, when they're trying to make different protocols interact with each other, it can be really, really difficult.
Like there just aren't a lot of standards?
Yeah, it comes down to, at the end of the day, manufacturers need to buy equipment for the parts and processes they're doing, and that means there's a boatload of different protocols and equipment that's needed to be able to run this type of equipment.
And that's the same with robotics. It's just sort of standard.
Yeah. And this is actually the approach that we took. We knew, robotics is in automation is kind of the North Star within manufacturing. But when you look at automation in general, it's a broad type of terminology and equipment, right? And if you look at it, like a CNC machine is automation, right? And everything, the 6-axis robot, AGV, all those things are all automation. So when we were looking at what we were doing, it was we needed to make sure everything could communicate with each other. So it's not just like a robot to robot type of communication. It needs to be robot to machine, machine to a machine, machine to inspection, all the things that are included within everything around your process control. So that was a really big aspect, is how can you take process control and comprehend it for automation, and combining that with interop to be able to make that happen.
So you're sort of serving as that bridge between systems?
Yeah, that's an effective way of saying it. It's looking at, I like to say the interop is broken down into 2 aspects, right? It's a read aspect. You want to be able to read and understand the state of what's going on, and then be able to write back and be able to update things in real time. And so what we do from the read aspect is we contextualize information from the equipment based on manufacturing operations. So as opposed to, there's a lot of within the industry of focusing on like PLC tags and registers and being able to, pull that information in that way. And then there's a lot of kind of messy aspects to be able to contextualize that. Within our stack, we contextualize it and we associate it with things that are associated with operations like parts, jobs, and various processes within manufacturing. So it allows the information to be very digestible, not only from people, but also in relation to the process control that needs to be running on the factory floor.
So are you the UI? Are you what people are interacting with?
Yeah, we can be. We work in both directions. So we have a UI capability where we can be able to do that. But some customers have infrastructure in place where they have their dashboards, they have their HMI, and we don't look to kind of disrupt if they already have those things. But what we can do is we can supplement all of that various data that's sitting on the machines themselves, and then contextualize it in the way, like I was talking about, how it relates to their operations and process control.
Yeah, so you talked about early on that the UR piece, and as we were talking about earlier, we were watching the video. You were at Automate. You were at the UR booth.
Yep.
It sounds like initially a lot of your work was maybe pretty tied to them being part of the SDK. I mean, is the company still pretty tied to UR at this point?
We've branched out to be fully agnostic across both robots and machinery type of equipment, and as well as inspection equipment. But within that, we have various commercial relationships with different vendors, and you are as one that we've stayed close with throughout.
Yeah. And I'm guessing, like, based on both of your experience, that you were pretty. I mean, you're out there. You're on the market now. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were pretty quick to actually just like launch a product and start working with customers.
Yeah. That was everything that we had, and I think this is where it was good because the combination. It was like creating usable, reliable, robust technology, and then having somebody who wasn't afraid to go knock on doors and be able to sell the technology. And that's really what we've been really good at, is being able to iterate quickly, based on production level experience. So I can probably count on one hand how many of our projects were actually kind of science related projects. 99% of our projects have been production related, where we're putting something into a production environment. And that's allowed us to be able to create the requirements that are needed within the platform, and everything I was talking about before, the robustness, the applicability. And then, really, I like to say, and manufacturing is very unforgiving, right? And rightfully so. It's very crucial and critical things working on. So within that, we've created a lot of reliability within the platform, where you have, tens of thousands of hours of runtime of our software in these production environments, which, really helps when we're, selling into very critical types of industries like aerospace, defense, medical, automotive, things like that, and we've sold into these spaces already. We can be able to confidently say, hey, we know this is going to be applicable for your operations, and it's going to run well in your operations.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a lot of trust. Like as you're saying, for manufacturing, things have to be highly accurate, down to the milli whatever. But also, something that I've learned working, working at A3 is that for obvious reasons, like, in manufacturing, they don't like to shut the line down. They don't like to, and that's why it's really hard to sell them on new things. And I'm just imagining, these two fairly recent graduates. You got a couple Tylers coming at you. It must have been a hard sell at first to convince them and to gain that trust.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you in the early days with any startup, you're fighting tooth and nail to be able to get out of your to any place.
But especially a space like manufacturing, that's so well established.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's one of those things. People within startups, when you look back at all the work that's required and everything you have to do, you kind of wince a little bit and go, would I have done that same thing again, and would I have jumped into that? But I mean, I think we still would have.
The power of what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I like to be a little oblivious to the future problems that we go through, because it helps in being able to navigate them in real time. But yeah, it's everything. It's it all kind of snowballs off each other. It's like you get your first customer to trust in you. And then you keep working, and then you get your first mid-size, and then you get your first Fortune 1000, and then you get a Fortune 100, and you build off of that, and then it starts to get to a point where you actually get pretty confident in what you're able to deploy, and I truly believe, and I think our team truly believes what we're doing is both that combination intersection of something that's tried and true but at cutting edge technology, combining those things and being able to deploy those in manufacturing environments. I think for anybody who's utilizing us, gives them a significant advantage and edge in their manufacturing processes.
So at a certain point, it's not like shoe leather as much anymore. At a certain point, it's like word of mouth, it sounds like. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I mean, some of our latest sales was referral from one of our customers directly to another one. So and it's funny too. It's you have one customer is talking about, hey, this is how we use them, and then the customer that they're talking to is saying, yeah, we're using them actually in this way, and the existing customer is like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe we could utilize them in that way too. So yeah, it's word of mouth, especially in manufacturing. It's you need to see things actually working in production, and you need to be able to have people that are behind what your technology is, or you really won't get anywhere.
Cool. Well, I thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
thanks
definitely.
So much.